Alright, welcome back everybody. Today we're going to be doing the secondary cut on this specific stone. This is a double cross square created by Jeff Graham. He's one of the designers of quite a few different gem cutting designs. And in this case, we're going to be cutting a citrine. The citrine is basically a quartz variant that's a little bit more yellow. Um, so in the last video that I posted, I started off with the first cut. That was cutting off most of this material here. If you want to take a look at that, take a look in my prior videos, and if it's not up, then I have a YouTube channel that I will also link to as well, but that you can go ahead and take a look at the first video. So today what we're going to be doing is working on the second set of cuts. Second set of cuts is a girdle cut. So with the girdle cut, we're going to end up taking this area right here around the edge and making sure that it is nice and even and flush for the entire perimeter of the girdle, which is the edge of the stone. So first off, before I start anything, I did kind of want to also point out that there is some prep work that is required with getting this set up. I still have my 360 grit crystalline lap on this Mark IV Graves faceting machine, but I'm going to end up quickly going and filling up this water container, and I will be right back. So while you can't see me on the camera, I am off camera going over to my utility sink to fill up the container. And I'm just using standard tap water over here. You just need some sort of liquid to be able to provide a cutting medium to cut the stone on. So now that I've got my container of water, put it on the machine, and now we're pretty much ready to go. So again, we're going to be doing the girdle next. Real quick, before I do the girdle though, I'm going to check to make sure that all of my P1 facets, which is the first set of facets on here, are looking good. Because if they're not, then that can cause issues later down the line. I am seeing a little bit of overcutting on some of these, so I'm going to actually try and get these all cut uniformly. Let me see if I can get this started. Alright. So first applying some water here to the cutting wheel just to get it lubricated. I'm still at the correct angle, which for this first facet is just about 45 degrees, if not 45 exactly. And so what I'm going to do first is make sure that I have all of the correct facets here. I am a little shy on some of these, so I might even just be able to hand cut these by just rubbing the stone back and forth. That will take a little bit of time though, more than you and I both have, so I'm gonna put this on a very slow speed and try it very carefully. Okay. So we're cutting this facet right here right now. This is at the zeroth index. And again, what the index is you have this ring down here at the base that I'm turning to a specific what's called an index. And basically that's just a place where I'm getting the stone consistent to each time I end up cutting it. So in this case, I'm just trying to cut this one specific facet right here, and because I'm just trying to cut this one, I'm at the same index point each time. Okay, that one's fairly close. not basically there. I might, since this is so close, I might have to adjust my settings. I am showing this is right at about 1. Okay, no, that's a little better. Just adjusting it so that all of them will be at the same exact cut depth. The cut depth that I'm going for is a 0 on this dial indicator. I'll try and get a better camera view of it a little bit later. But basically it just goes from 0 all the way around to 90. And what I'm trying to do is only go in degrees of 1 or 2, which the way that this is calibrated, every 10 on this dial equals 1 degree, I believe. So I'm very barely going an increase or decrease depending on the actual cut depth. I'm going into a little too much technical detail, I know, I'm sorry, but bear with me as this is the first time that I'm really doing this for fun. Okay. So 0, need to go to 6. 5, 6, okay. 6 is looking pretty good. Let's skip ahead to 12, which is right here. You can see, you might be able to see here that 12, it's cutting up, but it's not quite appearing all the way at the top. So I'm trying to get this specific facet that's at the 12th index to go all the way up to the cullet at the top. And the cullet is basically the point at which all the facets on the bottom meet up with. That way everything is uniform and able to do things correctly. So let's keep trying this. This one has a little bit more to cut than the last. Okay, that's now at the end. I think on my last stream when I was trying to close up, I just ended up overcutting a little on some of them. And so that's why they're not all perfectly matched up, because on the individual indexes that are marked here on my index gear, they're all matching up, but every other one they're not quite matching up well. So I'm just going to correct here some of that. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. This side is actually looking fairly good. We're going to skip ahead to 24. Yeah, 24 is a little undercut. You can kind of see it doesn't fully go from the to the tip of the cullet. It kind of eases off right around where the end of my fingernail is. So I'm going to end up cutting that so that the tip of this facet goes all the way from here to right there. Okay, almost at 0. You can see how quick that just me putting that down for that couple or that second or so, it's already almost to the point. So getting even closer now. I'm just going to do a 1 more press and done. So trying to get this cullet to be as sharp and pointy as possible just assists in making the gem more brilliant at the end because all of your facets are uniform, so the light that comes in through the crown can bounce around inside the pavilion, and the pavilion is the sharp pyramid point at the bottom, and thus shine back up out the top and provide the brilliance that you see. One of the things on a diamond is that when you have light coming in on the top of the crown, it will reflect back up and it gives you that brilliance. That's what brilliance is the shimmery and the effect of the reflection back through the top and then back out the top. So we've got 24. I'm going to briefly touch here on 30, because 30 needs a little bit of work. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And you're hearing me count because while some of these indexes on this gear are labeled with the number, others are not. So I just have to count to make sure I'm not getting off, because you don't want to go one off, because then everything will not be quite lined up. And when things aren't lined up, it causes an issue. So in this case, we're at 30. I'm just going to quickly and lightly tap this. It's close, but not quite close enough. Okay, still close. And with some of these cuts, it does not take very much to get to the desired depth on the facet. The last gem I cut, which is that purple amethyst that is on my profile background, the last couple cuts, I literally could not even have this lap right here running, because if I did, it would end up cutting too far. Let's see if I can adjust this down a little bit. Maybe not. That might be pretty good. Let's see in a second. In the meantime, 36. We're going to go there, cut that just a smidge. And again, just until it touches 0. That way we know that it's all to the sharpest point it can be. Perfect. So now from 36, we're going to go on to 42, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. I always double check my counts because I don't want to mess up, because if you mess up and you go a little too deep on one facet because it's one index over, now you got to recut everything to cut out that bad facet. So you only ever want to cut when you're sure that you are at the right index. Otherwise, it's just going to cause you more problems in the long run. So don't want that. Okay, that's getting fairly close to the tip. So I'm not applying very much pressure. It's basically just letting it touch, then hop off. As you can see, it's a very quick touch and go, touch and go, touch and go. So it's going to be that way just while I'm doing this initial cut-in, because I want to make sure that I don't overcut anything. So now I'm going to go up to 48. 48 now is going to be just a smidge. There we go. We're almost to the top. And getting much closer. Perfect. There we go. And so now we're basically at the top on the 48. And as you can see, it's slowly making things more uniform as I go around. I wish I could give you a little bit more detail. I might be able to provide a little bit more light to be able to see. See whether this works or not. It does add some light. Hopefully it's making it a little clearer for y'all to see. But you can see that there is definitely a pinnacle there. I'm experimenting with different ways to show the stones here, since I only do have one bore cam, one webcam, and then my laptop cam, which is what you're seeing the main image on, or the background image. But I'm still trying to experiment with how the light can be done to show better what I'm cutting, especially since it's so doggone hard to see. Okay, so from 48, now we're going to hop over to 54. 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. 54. Okay, I'm good there. Gonna do a quick touch and go. Okay, that's looking fairly good. We're getting real close here. Okay, And then we're going to hop over from 54 to 60. We've almost done a full revolution. We're going this much further from this point right here to this point right here. And as you can see, it's only a quick touch and go usually on each of these. Okay, this one's looking pretty good. Next up is 66. So 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66. Okay. Now we're gonna do a light touch here. See where we're at. Looking pretty good. The next facet's the one I'm more worried about, which is 72. 72. We'll get a nice little polishing. This is the one that was the facet that we based all the other depths off of. So it's gonna need a little bit of love here to get it in line with the rest, but not very much, just a little bit. Alright, so we got that. 72, and then from 72 we're going to go to 78. 76, 77, 78. Okay, so we're at 78 here now. And I'm sure that this is the point that's really boring for those who are watching this live. I feel your pain because I'm in fact dealing with it as well. What I will say though is it does definitely help to chat with people, so that's why I'm here in the only chatting. Don't have a huge following at the moment, but at the same time it's something that's just kind of fun to do and document and record because it's cool to see the before and after. So now from there we're going to go on to 78. 70. Yep. Okay, we got 78, I believe. Let's check one more time. Sometimes you can lose track too, which makes it even more interesting because it's like, oh, did I just do that or didn't I? Okay, we got 78. Now we're gonna hop over to 84. Super close now. Alright, there we go. So at this point now, all of the facets are looking pretty good. I might take off quite a bit of that girdle though, so I'm not sure. I might have to go just a tad deeper on that 72, otherwise what's going to end up happening is I'm going to take off too much with the girdle pass. We'll see. I think I am going to go a little bit deeper on the 72, so I'm going to overcut this just a smidge. There's a strategy as to why I'm doing this. The main reason being that this little piece right here that was uncut or was cut in the preform when I was first starting, it's still fairly far up the stone, and I don't think my girdle pass, which is going to flatten out and square off this edge right here along the belly of the stone, is going to completely erase that. So I'm going to have to go a little deeper on this and then cut all the rest of the facets around this again to that new depth. Almost there. Shouldn't take that long though. I mean, this is a pretty coarse grit, and this is a pretty quick cutting stone. So, alright, I'm happy with that. So now what I'm doing is, as you can see, this facet's now quite a bit larger. Let me see if I can get this to... There we go. This facet right here is now quite a bit larger than the rest of the facets around it. So now what I got to do is reset all the other facets to that new depth. And at that new depth, they will all be the same as they go around the perimeter of this pavilion. So now we're starting again at 72. We're going to do a full pass around again from 72 to 78, 84, 90, 96, 6, and so on and so forth. So let's go to 84. Or I'm sorry, 72 is what I cut at. We want 78. 78. There we go. 78. Okay. And on these stones, since I took off quite a bit of material on that 72, just to get it to be a little deeper, I'm going to have to take off quite a bit on the other sides as well. That's okay. We have plenty of material here on this specific stone. It started off as a 21 carat, so we're going to have probably about maybe 8 or 7 carat yield off of it when we're done with it. If I had to guess. I could do the calculation, but I'm not quite ready to do that just at this exact moment. Okay. Alright, so 84, we're going to go to 90. Okay. So the name in the game here is keeping everything as consistent as you possibly can. That's why you'll see me kind of holding this a little bit weird and being as methodical as I can about where I place the stone on the lap. Because the more accurate I can reproduce this across all the facets, the better the overall quality will be. The idea being that the more machine-like you are, the more quality you're going to get out of the cut. So 90, we're going to then bump up to 96 here. Basically all I'm doing with my index finger on my right hand, or you'll see it as the left hand on your screen probably, is just rubbing off the excess water that it accumulates on the top of the stone. So 96, we're going to 6. 5, 6. Okay. Give this a good cut here. Now I'm using a relatively coarse lap, so this cutting is going far quicker than it would if I was using a pre-polished lap. There are different types of laps that you can use, and I am still learning how each one of them works. I just got the cheaper laps to start off with and learn how to do this craft. But there is, of course, way more expensive ones that you can get that I don't yet know if I want to spend the money on, at least until I get a lot better. Go, this is coming along quite nicely. here. There we go. Okay. So then on to 18. 18. All right. Now we're going to jump up from 18 to 24. All right. And then from 24, we're going to jump up to 30. So 7, 28, 29, 30. Now I'm sure your professional jewelry houses have a more automated process than this. I am cutting this as a hobbyist, which is why it's going to take much longer than, say, your major box chain or your boutique craft jewelry shop. From 30, we're jumping up to 36. Not that there's anything wrong with those shops at all. I have immense respect for them. They provide majority of people the ability to afford something nice for their significant other. I am merely commenting on the amount of time and the efficiency at which they can do a stone versus me out here manually doing this. Hello there. So, what are I am on Discord in the background, so some of my friends on Discord are talking to me at this point. Might be a little bit one-sided, but I can probably get it changed here in a moment. Let's see if I can adjust that. I currently am on Twitch, yes.
Not wanting to hunt.
You don't want to hunt?
I do not want to hunt
He's twitching.
at the moment. I am being a Twitch streamer currently.
Alright, I will drag you back out.
Alright, thank you very much.
Why won't it let me? There we go.
Alright. So, they were looking to play a game with me. This channel, I'm just kind of having fun cutting some gems on here, and I also occasionally will stream on or when I'm playing games. So they were asking me if I wanted to play a game called Hunt Showdown. Quite fun. If you are a gamer and are interested in gaming, I would suggest checking it out. It's made by Crytek, the creators of the original CryEngine and Crysis. If you were a gamer back in 2008, if you were not a gamer in 2008, then I would suggest checking it out because it was quite a groundbreaking game at the time, and to this day it's still quite technologically masterful given its current age. Alright, so we're good there. We're now going to bump up to 48. Just taking this one facet at a time. Takes a little bit. And I'm just providing a nice rhythmic back and forth. Helps me get in the groove, and it helps me make sure that everything is consistent from facet to facet. Again, consistency is the name of the game here. Let's see, we're at 48. Now we're going to go on to 54. 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. Perfect. Okay, this is getting a little slough on there. That's what the white you're seeing here it is. I'm going to remove some of that slough a little bit. There we go. I turned off my water and did not realize it. Not great for the stone, but it's not going to kill it unless you're spending a prolonged amount of time grinding on it, or grinding the stone on the lap, because that will end up causing the stone to overheat, and depending on the stone, it can actually cause the stone to crack. So I do not believe that this stone would be susceptible to cracking, but there's always that possibility that it could, which is why you want to be a little careful. Okay, so now we are going to pop up to 60. We are now just 2 facets away from the original that we started on, which was 72. I know all these numbers are supremely exciting. I say that with a mild bit of sarcasm. Let's see, we're getting fairly close. Okay, that one should be done, and the last facet is now going to be 72. Or not 72, I'm sorry, 66. 63, 64, 65, 66. Alright, so now we got a nice even cut around the entire perimeter. I might see if I can, with some water on here, you can kind of see through the stone a little better. I'm going to see if I can turn off this overhead light and turn on the 4cams light. There we go. So now you can really see through the stone, or at least should be able to. And you may even be able to see that the cullet, or the top part, is quite bright in comparison to the surrounding edges of the stone, and that is by design. So every stone has what's called a refractive index, and that is the maximum degrees that you can cut before the light will shine through the stone and then go away. If you cut below that refractive index, then what happens is the light will come in, bounce off of the edge, and then bounce onto the other edge, and then bounce back up. That provides your brilliance, like I was saying earlier, and is the main goal that you're going for as a cutter, to ensure that things really truly sparkle and brighten up. So at this point now, turn back on the light. We are now at a point where I think I'm happy with calling this. I might just do by hand a quick hand polish. Not wanting to go super crazy on this because I don't want to overcut. There we go. Now pretty much at this point everything is lined up again. Awesome. So now we're going to do a 90-degree cut. The 90 degree for the girdle, and we're going to start at our 0 or 96 because they're one and the same, since it's a 360 degree clocking of the index wheel here, or index gear. I'm going to pull this whole mast back. I'm going to remember that I am at, in fact, 45 degrees. for that because I'm going to have to come back and repolish this in a bit. And then I'm going to bounce down up on this adjustment lever to the 90-degree mark. So now I have my wheel here so that I can cut the edge perimeter on this specific stone. And again, I just turn this right here, this index gear, and it allows for me to now get the full edge or perimeter of the stone. Now this right here, I have a little trap door in the machine that folds back. It allows me to get the stone down to the correct distance. And I'm going to adjust it here so that it's right about there. So now when you're doing a girdle cut, you're going to want to go to the lowest point on the stone, but no lower, because any lower and you're now cutting off excess material that you don't need to. So what you'll typically end up doing is bringing the machine down just a little further than it should go for a 90 degree, so you're going like 91 degrees, but then you're going to rotate through the different degree settings on this and find the lowest point. You just kind of let it walk along the machine here. So I'm seeing this section right here on this side. Oh, and I need to refocus my camera since this is now lower. This section right here is much more or much lower than any of the other sections on the stone. So I don't want to really go beyond that section for my cuts, otherwise, oh, and it's a little blurry, so I'm going to try and adjust this a little. I don't want to go any further below, because if I do, then I'm just cutting off excess material, which makes the stone smaller than it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is leave this right around here. We're going to have, okay, we're going to set this as the lowest point. Oh, come on. Okay, so that's now at 0 on our dial indicator. And because this is now at 0, I can then go to one of the 4 directions that I need to cut. So in this case, this is a 90-degree cut that's going to touch all of the cardinal directions in 96, 24, 48, and 72, as well as the half cardinal directions. I don't know if that's the proper term, which is between those cardinal directions. So in this case, 12, 36, 60, and 84. So when you're cutting with this, there tends to be a lot of splashing that happens. So I usually grab a towel like so, or towelette. Mechanics towels are just fine, but you could also use paper towels if you really wanted to. I just use these because they were available and they're relatively cheap to procure. Okay, I fold it up nice and easy, and I'll stick it in between the machine edge here and the edge of the lap. And what this does is allows for the water that's coming off via centrifugal force. Oh, let me lower this down a bit. This allows for the water that's coming off the edge of the lap disc to fling off and onto this towelette and not onto my clothes. It's a minor thing to deal with, but at the same time it's kind of annoying. So while I'm here, I'm going to try and adjust some of these camera angles so they go a little lower. Let me see. I have to do something like this. There we go. I think that should be pretty good. And let my camera adjust for a sec so I can see. Okay, that looks actually fairly good. Alright, so now at this point I'm ready to go. I have my new index. I may move this just a smidge closer. There we go. So now I'm actually over the edge of the disc a little bit. Let's see if I can turn off some of the lights here, and maybe that will allow a little less contrast to affect it. And let's see. Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. So I'm not quite on the edge of the disc. I'm giving it about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the disc to the bottom of the material. That way it allows for some of this material to not get caught on the edge, and then if you get caught on the edge, have a failure when you're cutting the material. Turn this back on, and we're going to rock and roll. Now when you're cutting something like this, wanting to apply plenty of water. There's going to be a lot of slough that comes off of this. So we're going to go very carefully, just back and forth and back and forth. Okay, so as you can see now, I'm basically matched this initial angle on the stone with this new angle. That's at our first set of cuts. This will actually go fairly quickly, so we're going to go from there to 24. That's going to be our second set. Depending on the angle, it'll go a lot quicker. Like this one I'm already done, whereas the last one it took me a little bit longer to get to that point. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay. Then from 24, we're going to hop over to 48. This one's probably going to be just as quick, if not quicker. Okay, we're already done with this. Okay, and then from 48, we're going to hop over to 72. And this side's now already done. As you can see, that was very quick. Like it's a touch and go type situation. In some instances, you'll go even quicker. You just want to make sure that you're just taking off enough to get there. Then we're going to check the edge of the stone, make sure there's a consistent line around the edge, and then go from there. Also going to lower my seat just a smidge as I'm up a little too high for this. Oh, my chair is broken, so the cylinder starts to slump, but that's a fun little feature, not a bug, I assure you. So from here, we're going to go over to 12. Okay, 12 is good. Alright, excuse me. And from 12, we're going to go to 36. There we go. Okay, from 36, go to 60. So basically we're hitting every major index point on the style. I did say 60, right? Yeah, 60, we're good. This is the side that we'll cut off the most material on. That's why I was checking, just to make sure. It's always better to check twice, cut once. Okay, alright, we got that material off. And then from 60, we're going to bump over to 84. 84 is going to be the last of the girdle cuts. Alright, there we go. So right now, It's not very visible from the top, but you can kind of see it's got a little bit more of a diamond-esque shape where it's a bit squared off on each of the corners. What we'll end up doing probably a little bit more, since some of these corners are not yet touching, is get them to touch one another. When they touch one another, that's when we know we've taken off enough material. That does remove quite a bit, but it's all good. You kind of have to in this sort of a operation. So I say operation tongue-in-cheek, but let's start. We're going to start again at 0, just, well, probably should start at 0. I'm not going to go down very far. I'm just going to take off a little bit more material. Oh, that one actually wasn't at 0. Now it's at 0. Okay. I'm going to go a little bit beyond 0. Okay. And now we're going to cut all of the other sides to this number. No, 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 we're going this way. There we go. Make sure this is right. Okay, we're at 0 now. Okay, now that we're at 0, we're going to keep going. Oh, we're going to bump this from 0 to 12. Cut till 0. And then from there, we're going to go from 12 to 24. Basically, I'm just cutting a tick on this specific dial indicator. Not trying to take off a whole lot of material. I'm just trying to get everything to meet up and become more consistent around the edge. 6 to 48. Okay. 48 to 60. The idea is to tease the shape out of the rock rather than fully force it. If you force it, you're just cutting off more than you need to. 42 to 84. Alright, so now we're looking quite a bit better. These are still not quite lined up though. You can kind of see how on that girdle edge, you're getting a bit of the square, but it's still kind of diamond shape. So we're going to have to tease that out a little bit more. I think unfortunately I'm probably going to have to call it here very soon, or call this stream, just because it is getting a little bit late and I work the early shift in the morning. But I'll try and do one more pass around here and get things looking good before I do that. Cut to meet P1, P2. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of time. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just call it here actually instead. It was a lot of fun though. I hope that you got a chance to learn something. I'm trying to do this a little bit more consistently just because it is a fun hobby of mine and I do enjoy uh, spending the time here to um, cut these stones. But I am going to have to call it here so that way I can go to bed and get ready for the next day so I can come back again later. Anyway, I hope you all had fun. I definitely did here too, and I'll see you all in the next video.